Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
I'm a fan of classic movies.
Hello and welcome to Overlapping Dialogue, a podcast of audio commentaries dedicated to discussing cinema that fascinates us in a way we hope fascinates you. We're your co-hosts, Kyle and Levi Huffman. I'm Kyle.
I'm Levi.
And hope you remember us. I know it's been a little while. It's been a while, as the song once said.
Yeah.
It's been since Thanksgiving, I guess. A little bit, maybe a little bit before that. Welcome back to Overlapping Dialogue. The Christmas season is, right on us, right on top of us. Whether you like that or not, it's here. It's not going anywhere until December 26th, and it's moving right on. But to celebrate the Christmas season, we thought what better way than to go back to our commentary days and do a commentary of one of our very favorite movies, not just Christmas movies, but movies generally, with Home Alone from 1990. We're not going to have an overlapping dialogue. No, we are going to have an overlapping dialogue, but we're not going to have a Blue Plate special this week. We're actually going to have a kind of an end of the year,
another bonus to your
bonus episode.
2 Christmas bonuses this year.
Yeah, well, look at that. That's how much we love you. Coming up. And so that'll hopefully drop before the end of the year.
How much we are
we'll
behind
see.
on seeing certain things, actually.
Yeah, we'll see.
We don't love you, I don't care.
But, so we'll save some things that we have to talk about then. We wanted to kind of make this a standalone, Home Alone only pod anyways, because this is, and again, I say this about a lot of different things we've done. One of those movies that ever since we started this podcast have been in the back of our minds as something that we wanted to do. In case you've been living under a rock for 30-plus years, Home Alone is a 1990 American Christmas comedy film directed by Chris Columbus.
It's a family comedy without the family.
Yeah, one of the great taglines. Written and produced by John Hughes. First film in the Home Alone franchise. Stars Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, John Hurd, and Catherine O'Hara. Culkin plays Kevin McCallister, a boy who defends his suburban Chicago home from a home invasion by a pair of robbers after his family accidentally leaves him behind on their Christmas vacation to Paris. Did you know, actually, this is something to mention, that just here at the end of the year, Home Alone was listed as being inducted into the National Film Registry, actually, just this year.
That.
Yeah. Which is, of course, done by the Library of Congress as, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically relevant. This movie was a monster hit when it came out in 1990. Grossed $476.7 million in 1990, going into 91. Made for an $18 million budget. Again, one of the first early big films from Chris Columbus.
Yeah, because he had, written and kind of fostered along the story. Well, Steven Spielberg came out with a story, but wrote the screenplay for The Goonies, which Richard Donner directed.
I know his first real big thing was Gremlins he wrote.
Right, I forgot about that as well. And then, was it Adventures in Babysitting was his first directorial effort? Was that right?
Yes, and then Heartbreak Hotel was his... So this is only his third movie he had directed.
Right, and so, yeah, he had been kind of kicking around in that, Amblin space for a while.
Went on to do the first two Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, and so he kind of... He's kind of that guy that, did these really big things and then kind of totally disappeared and hasn't really done a whole lot since then. It's weird because I've always seen him as a combination between the likes of Steven Spielberg and John Hughes as kind of existing in that. And I think The Goonies is kind of the intersection of that in a lot of ways. Because as much as that's a very Spielberg... did I say Scorsese a minute ago?
I mean, you might have. I don't remember.
Spielberg and John Hughes
Yeah.
If I did, we'll check the tapes.
Yeah.
But I think The Goonies is the biggest version of that, because as much as that is a Spielberg product, it's also very much about young people from a more Hughesian aspect, I think, than some of his other works have been as far as Spielberg goes. It feels more like Hughes dialogue than like E.T. dialogue, for example.
You know, it was something to say about Hughes. We've talked about him in the past. One of the, I think, Mount Rushmore of 80s film culture is John Hughes, for better or for worse. I wouldn't say for worse in a bad way, but just, when people think about the 80s, his imprint is so heavily on the popular culture filmic memory of the 80s. Going into the 90s, and again, this is a script that he wrote. I'd actually forgotten totally that he had actually written Christmas Vacation just a little bit before this. I'd actually recently rewatched Christmas Vacation, which is not a movie that we're particularly fond of. I actually liked it a little more this time, but I'm still not super big into. We're not huge Chevy Chase people.
That's an understatement.
But I was like, oh yeah, he did write this, and he's a part of the whole
I respect
Christmas
more,
Vacation,
though,
or the Vacation series of
well,
things.
What I do at least respect more about Chevy Chase than Dan Aykroyd is Chevy Chase has a definitive personality that, as much as I loathe it, he is straight up out front with, and is very like, I am Chevy Chase, and Dan Aykroyd just sucks.
Look at this section of John Hughes' Wikipedia page that are unproduced screenplays.
Wow.
I know he was a pretty prolific writer. And wrote a lot of things. What imprint of John Hughes do you see in this movie? Can you recognize?
Chicago.
It is in the suburbs of Chicago.
I think the dialogue. It's witty and quick and slick. It's very practiced. I think that this is probably one of the. I wouldn't say best in the sense of like it's groundbreaking, but one of just the most high functioning, quick, and just really sacrosanctly great screenplay, popular screenplays.
We said that in the last episode too.
Yeah, it's so masterful. I don't even think it's his best work. I mean, it's like his best work would probably be like The Breakfast Club, or even just below that, Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something. But I think this, like I said, is so right in so many ways, even just as plot. I'm not even talking about expressly as about themes or about things.
Right.
Like, just plot-wise, it's very detailed and very structured, and it shows somebody who is able to maneuver plot very well, because we can talk about, as the movie goes, this movie functions on a great deal of hypothetical and extreme hyperbole situations that normally would sound insane.
And it's kind of rendered moot in the 21st century now, technologically,
Like, this could only have happened in the 90s or before.
Yeah.
I don't even think it could have happened even before then. It's like this weird intersection of, like, just right on the money when you could literally forget your own child on the way to the airport. Like, it is a very particular, like I said, happening. Like I said, he's smart enough to know, I think, how he's literally walking on thin ice for that to make sense.
Yeah.
And really does go out of his way to do his best to make it happen. And it works really well, I think. And that also is by nature of really having personalities to work with, which this movie has in spades, to have all the great actors it does. So, yeah, I think that's the biggest imprint, is just him learning over years about how to write screenplays, which he didn't need necessarily any help with. Even another movie that I quite like, maybe a little more than you do, but I know you like Fine Enough, is Pretty in Pink. I think is another pretty good screenplay. That very problematic movie in a lot of ways, also, I should say. Or even St. Elmo's Fire, which is a fascinating movie, not a great one by any means, but movies that were really playing with a lot of
which he didn't have anything to do with, I don't believe, did he? St. Elmo's Fire, but it is like,
I thought he wrote that, didn't he?
No,
that was just a Brat Pack.
But I was going to say, he's very associated with the Brat Pack, which of course.
Well, yes, so never mind. That's another movie that I thought. Let me make sure about that. but you're probably right now I think about it.
I'm just not seeing that here on his list of credits.
No, that was a Joel Schumacher and Carl Kurlander screenplay. But, yeah. Anyway,
I mean,
never
you
mind.
know...
But that is part of that whole milieu. I'll take that one out, though. But, yeah, some of these other ones, like I said, Pretty in Pink, or even... I haven't seen Some Kind of Wonderful, but I've always heard of it. Another movie of his that gets lumped in with this movie a lot with Home Alone is Uncle Buck. Have you seen that?
Yeah, years ago.
So Uncle Buck is one of those movies that, well, firstly, it had Macaulay Culkin in it, literally the year before. Also had John Candy. Is very, and is a lot like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles as well, is another movie we forgot to mention.
Yeah.
That is very, it's almost would be better as a drama, I think. Like, it's a little too funny sometimes for what it's about, and I'm kind of like, yeah, this is somewhere in between. That's such a strange movie in a lot of ways that I feel like he worked out way better here because he's trying to do that in between, you know? And I feel like this movie works way better than Uncle Buck does as far as being dramatic. This movie isn't even as dramatic as that is either, but it balances itself out really well about... And we can talk about that in the movie, about some more dramatic statements this movie's making about family and about life and family dysfunction and just kind of that, what this movie has to say about that actually bears itself well, which the sequel doesn't. But you know.
I think a very pet John Hughes theme that is present in this, that you see in a lot of his stuff, particularly in the 80s, is this like kind of like slick smugness that is worn down by genuine heartfelt sentimentality. Is like something that I feel like the Breakfast Club is very much about. That we don't want to be here, we hate
Ferris
each
Bueller
other.
kind of sidesteps that mostly.
Yes, Ferris Bueller's kind of in a class of its own in terms of its style and its directorial vision. But I feel like a lot of Hughes projects, even like the vacation movies too, are about like, oh, family can be a drag, but we gotta have them. And I don't even mean that in like a roll your eyes kind of way, even though it sounds like
what's funny about the vacation movies, though, is that family can be bad, so let's raise some hell to get through it. It's like, wow. But
But all his movies kind of center back to being about the importance of family in whatever form that takes.
16 Candles tries to do that.
Yeah. And I think with this too, I mean, he's so
Long
known
Duck
for
Dong. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Go back to listen to that episode.
Yeah.
But you know, I think he's so associated with teenage movies in the 80s, as we've talked about. This is a little younger than that, even in terms of Kevin's age.
Kind of adolescent, and then or prepubescent, and even adults too. I mean, the movie's as much about these other adults, sort of about the mom, Catherine O'Hara,
and about the whole idea of the holiday season being so busy that we forget some of the most important things, literally and figuratively. And again, I think we've talked here and there about Macaulay Culkin's 80s through the 90s. I mean, he was one of the biggest dominant child actors of all time, really, during this particular period. I have a certain affinity for Richie Rich, even though that movie's really stupid. I wrote a character ranking of every character in that movie, which I had a lot of fun doing.
I hesitate to ever say we should do that movie on this podcast because I feel like you said everything that needs to be said with that.
But go look that up. I had more fun writing it than the movie's fun to watch. But
I need to figure out the secret sauce.
Just to run through some of the
first
cast
Michael
members
Jackson
of this.
nose joke, by the way, in a movie I've ever seen.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! I look like Michael Jackson. Of course, Macaulay Culkin is Kevin McCallister. I think this movie is his best, just everything in terms of the sweet but sarcastic persona that he had as a child actor.
It's scorched earth, literally. I mean, he literally roasts everybody. Because you'd seen, and after that, you had seen movies like we mentioned this earlier today off air, Dennis the Menace, or that's another John Hughes product randomly that I didn't know that until we watched it during COVID, actually. It was right when COVID happened. We were rewatching, we were like, oh, this is literally Home Alone, but like the Dennis the Menace comic strip. But yeah, like you've seen stuff like that with the a-hole kids in the 90s, like that came out of that, and this really is the holy text for that. But actually, like I said, ends up he is an a-hole, but also like caring in these very certain ways, and ultimately that the second movie in certain ways kind of just like negates in certain ways too. I think that it's very successful, and he never lived back up to this, sadly. But
it seems like he's in a lot better place now than he was some years before.
It's so strange.
He recently got, I think, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame because Catherine O'Hara was there for that, I think.
Yeah, thankfully his life has kind of taken a turn and has been more, he's kind of turned that corner and is back to being a better person, I think. But speaking of that, I feel like we really missed an opportunity for him to, this is so random, for him, and you kind of laugh when I say this, but to play Kurt Cobain at some point, because he looks a lot like him. But also of that era, those were two of the big, like, generational stars of their era in different ways. And sadly, one didn't last, hardly at all, and the other is still with us, thankfully. But I feel like that's a random thing I've always thought of, like, what we need to get. Like, he would have been way better than, like, Michael Pitt, for example, is like that version of that in Last Days, which I want to see, but I haven't. But anyway.
Joe Pesci as Harry Lime and Marv
We haven't even mentioned them
Merchants
yet.
as the villains. One of the randomly great pairings in film history, I would go as far as to say, in terms of just two actors that, Daniel Stern was kind of, as a comedic relief and popped up in small roles and things. He has a little bit of a bigger role in, like, Diner, which is a really good little movie. Joe Pesci, of course, this year, Goodfellas came out, which was what he won Best Supporting Actor for.
He kind of had a rough 80s, though. I mean, you'd seen he had been in, like, Raging Bull.
In the very early 80s,
And, like, then I know there's movies that I'm blanking on, but literally his 80s was just like, I don't even know.
Well, really, I think in a roundabout way, like, his whole acting career kind of started as, I'm buddies with Robert De Niro, and I'm going to be in De Niro things, and then he was successful enough that kind of spawned into other things.
Yeah, because he had been in, like, let's see, Raging Bull.
Well, before that, only two other movies, uncredited in one of them.
And then, he was in that Eureka. I forgot about that. And then Easy Money. Once Upon a Time in America, I forgot he was in that. And then, really not much until this.
Well, the Lethal Weapon movies. He was in Lethal Weapon 2.
Yes.
He was one of the
I knew there was
biggest
something
characters
in there I was forgetting. That's right. And then, and then he was in Goodfellas and Home Alone.
But this whole run here of Lethal Weapon 2 in 89, Goodfellas and Home Alone, he was in 4 movies this year: Betsy's Wedding and Catchfire. 91, The Super, and of course JFK.
That's big. I mean, like when Joe Pesci literally couldn't be stopped of like 90 and 91.
Well, 92
like,
even My Cousin Vinny, which is a huge movie. It is Lethal Weapon 3, The Public Eye, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Right. Yeah. So really, from like 90 to 92, it was just like bang, 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 and then even Casino. Couple years after that, So I mean, that it is strange because we think of Pesci as just so big, but really started ultimate. I mean, obviously being in Raging Bull, that's maybe even his best performance. I don't know, like be up there.
Yeah.
And just that combined with these other things.
It's really terrific in The Irishman as well. As far as he hadn't acted in a long time, and then all of a sudden had came back with that.
Right.
Daniel Stern at this stage and later on, he didn't have quite the, the recognizability I don't feel like that Pesci has, because I feel like if average person sees Daniel Stern, they're going to think of Home Alone.
Right.
With Pesci, there's a handful of things. This obviously being one of them, but said he had a part in the City Slicker movies. As I said earlier, Diner. He was in some Woody Allen stuff, like Stardust Memories. Hannah and Her Sisters kind of has a memorable part, we said, I think, last time. So he's really hilarious. I mean, you can imagine an alternate reality where he was kind of a bigger star, honestly, I think. But he's hilarious in this. And, again, they just make for a really unlikely but hilarious duo. Just to run through some other names real quick. John Hurd, who's Peter McCallister, the father. The father, as the sequel would tell us. Yeah. We're big John Hurd fans. He's popped up in tons of stuff. I think this and him in The Sopranos is probably the two biggest things I think of. Catherine O'Hara, of course, is Kevin's mother. We love Catherine O'Hara. She's great and everything.
We talked about her before with Beetlejuice, so we probably won't belabor.
There's a lot of the family members I won't really necessarily get into, just the brothers and sisters and all that. There are a few, though. Biggest one being Devin Rattray as Buzz McCallister, who's basically a bully to Kevin.
And a bully in real life, as it turns out.
Yeah, look his personal life up. Also, Gary Bayman as Uncle Frank. As it says here, Uncle Frank McCallister, Peter's rude, cruel, cantankerous, cheap, and selfish older brother. Our
plane leaves in 45 minutes.
John Candy, he's not in the family. He's Gus Polinski, who's a kind-hearted polka musician who helps Kate. That's kind of a really random subplot of the movie, but is about how she gets back to home.
We learn a lot about funeral home visits and
there's some of those scenes are really like, what is this doing in this? I mean, it works. It's funny, but it's just like, okay, random. Yeah, it does offer a heartfelt kind of.
Well, it's a way for her to see about. It feels weird when you explain it this way, but I mean, what's the function of it in the movie is that it's to say, yeah, well, look at these like weird random people that aren't even really parents at all, and it's kind of a confidence builder for her as a parent to say, I made this mistake, but
And then another person I want to mention is Robert Blossom as Marley, who's Kevin's elderly neighbor. Old Man Marley, as he's kind of presented as almost a villain early on in the movie, but turns out to be not nearly as villainous as Kevin
randomly
expected.
That actor, and we'll talk a lot about those scenes later in the movie when we see it, but that actor is randomly in Christine as the original owner of Christine that they buy from. His name is Roberts.
Yeah,
Blossom.
Roberts.
Okay.
Robert Scott Blossom.
Roberts is his first name. Interesting. But he's actually really good in that. It's like a totally different role, and I think a lot of him in that randomly. He's only in a couple of scenes. He's in The Last Temptation of Christ also, I forgot.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah. I remember him in that.
I can't quite remember who he is in that either. Kieran Culkin, who later would be known as one of the biggest actors in Succession.
And was in
Fuller.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World also.
Kevin's youngest cousin. That's about it for most of the people. This, movie did spawn a franchise, which we kind of hinted at earlier. Just to run through all these movies real quick. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which is the only other one with Kevin McCallister, played by Macaulay Culkin. That's the one that I feel like is actually pretty good. I mean, it does repeat.
It has a lot of problems, but it's serviceable.
Yeah. Home Alone 3 in 97.
The one with the Russian terrorists in it, right?
Which is really random. It's really just using that name. Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House TV movie. That old what's his name is in French Stewart.
French
Stewart is one of the villains in that.
Yeah. Does that have Kirstie Alley in it too, or am I making? She looks like Kirstie Alley.
She looks like her. I think it's somebody else.
Okay.
Missy Powell. I think.
All right.
What's his name?
And then our favorite title of all, The Holiday Heist.
Home Alone Holiday Heist, and then Home Sweet Home Alone. There's even some Home Alone video games.
Yeah.
Which I've not
played.
Aware of those. What do you think of the whole prospect of this as a franchise? Like,
I mean it shows
it's a classic story of Hollywood.
Just money.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the thing. It's like inherently this premise can't really be replicated because you're never going to forget your child again.
Yeah. Right.
And so, and I mean, you could reboot it and do a different kid again or do a remake, but it's like, but we've already done the thing. I don't know. It's just a classic, like lightning in a bottle. They really struck gold with that movie, and it's one thing, and it was precise, and it was funny, and it was exact, and it's pretty impossible to replicate that, and that's proven the case. So, as far as that goes, it's pretty useless. I mean, but whatever. I mean, the second one is good in the sense of, like, it's interesting to see being lost in a city rather than trapped in your own house. I think that's different enough to be relevant, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But
and it doesn't have the whole like Tim Curry injected as a villain and like
That
whole
stuff's pretty
crew.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because that one kind of combines multiple genres too, because it has the whole raising hell in the hotel.
Right. There's Dunson checks in, as we
right
talked
genre.
about,
Well, and
part
even
of-
like it's a very Marx Brothers kind of, or even Three Stooges kind of thing too, like going to a hotel and just running riot, you know, whatever. That's a very basic idea, but I feel like that works for that, and even has old what's his name, guy that was Deuce Bigalow, American Gigolo,
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider, yeah. He's in it. He's kind of funny, and so yeah, there's like enough stuff in that movie to be remarkable, at least. The others are just like, I don't know what's going on there. Home Sweet Home Alone, we talked about that at the time. That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and one thing that was interesting about that though, that one like couple that are the villains in that is kind of interesting and funny, but otherwise pretty useless also. And then those in the middle, like you know, Taking Back the House and Holiday House, I never saw
They
whatsoever.
were like TV movies, I think. Made too.
I saw 3 a long time ago, but was like, nah, I don't think
I know it
so.
does have that one guy who plays Russian people in every big movie. He's like been in a lot
Probably
of
the
things.
biggest thing he'll be remembered for now is The Americans, maybe, or actually maybe rather Burn After Reading, probably.
I know he's like barely in it. It's like a scene or two, but he's on the like Russian ship in first class. So it's like basically the Cuban Missile Crisis like situation.
And also, I think of him a lot. Also, in Behind Enemy Lines, he's like the main villain in that. But along with that guy who's basically the Nico Bellic inspiration analog, pretty much. But yeah.
So we've kind of been saying a lot of things to this effect, but this is one of our very favorite holiday movies.
One of our favorite holiday heists.
Why for you is this held up over the years as something that we regularly
I
return
keep
to?
saying it, but it's just so watchable. It's so, I mean, it's one of those movies that comes along once in a generation that is that quotable movie. Because, you know, you have those types of movies like, in the 90s was a big version of that in a lot of ways, obviously. But like, you know, you think about quotable movies, and normally people talk about stuff like The Big Lebowski or even The Godfather or
Pulp Fiction,
stuff that's like more adult centric. This is one of those few movies that is so famous. It's this and Forrest Gump are two of the ones I think of that are 90s, like big movies that I didn't even call Forrest Gump a family movie, but it's more, you know, toned down.
Has a broad audience.
Right, and so more explicitly popular entertainment that can be enjoyed. You probably by now know our feelings about Forrest Gump. Yours are more conflicting than mine. Mine are pretty just negative. But that with this, it's just so, like I said, so quotable, so compulsively watchable. Everyone loves it. It's the movie that I think, because A Christmas Story, and we haven't mentioned that movie at all with this, but is another version of that. What's different, though, I think, about this is that, and what I think works better, now that movie is almost as popular, but not quite. The thing I don't like about that movie that I do like about this, in relation, is that movie is very clever and very cynical, but it kind of ends there. You know, like that. There's not a big emotional. And I'm not saying every movie has to have a lesson or anything, but there's no big emotional undercurrent in that movie. It's pretty clear that I mean, I guess that Ralphie loves his family, but it's a very adversarial figure in the movie. I mean, he pretty much hates everybody and doesn't really care about anything other than getting this BB gun. And something about that movie that's always been very kind of stuck in my craw, but I find interesting about it too, is the movie ends and it's like, he got the gun. And that was it.
There is a clear MacGuffin in that, in a way that kind of detracts from it, like you said. This is more like, what I like about it is, and I think this is why this movie appeals to kids so much, is that it fulfills a fantasy, while at the same time saying, well, but why is that not a good thing? Like, why it's actually not good for you as a child to be alone and like not to have your family. And
not only of the danger aspect, but also just as he just misses them. And
I think like early on you can tell that like for all the chaos that's going on here at the beginning of this movie, that like Kevin actually does come from a good family who loves and cares about him. He's just caught at this really bad moment of everybody's busy And just as a kid, I remember how intimidating it was to, quote, pack your suitcase was like, oh, what am I going to know what to pack now? You grow to be an
Toilet
adult.
paper and
It's
water.
like, no big
Literally,
deal.
that's what's funny. Yeah, it's like I know that for kids that's intimidating most. It's like you just pack the suitcase. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just when you become an adult, it's like you just know what you need to
Yeah.
pack. I don't know, but
I think it's just
yeah.
like the movie does a really good job of approaching things at scale, which is an important thing for movies from kids' perspective of the world feeling big and just above your grasp and beyond your grasp. And again, we haven't really talked about it, but also Kevin's creativity in terms of how he wreaks havoc on two
well,
men
also
who
how
are
he just
trying to
takes
rob
care
his
of
house.
himself too. I
Right.
mean, like
again, that's a
right.
coming of age story in a roundabout
Right.
way that he grows into being self sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, I bought what was it? I bought milk, detergent, and fabric softener, or whatever.
Yeah.
What a funny guy. Like, it's not that funny. I
Yeah.
mean, but and that and going back to A Christmas Carol briefly, or not A Christmas Carol, Christmas Story. That movie almost is seen, and what I kind of actually do like about that structurally and kind of as a conception is it's like a kind of survey of one person's memories of many Christmases, but it's all put into one thing, and it's kind of it's like a version of it's like weird to explain this, but it's like how Stephen King would describe a circus. It's like, oh, all these big lights and pretty things. Like, it views Christmas as this, as in all these big lights and pretty things, but there's this undercurrent of sawdust and like horse crap.
Yeah.
That's like, and it's like all this like very garish and ugly like put-ons for a holiday that I don't think there are very many movies that have accurately captured that for what Christmas represents. And that does so in the 1940s aspect too, which is interesting.
Yes,
Not something you would usually think of as kind of a post-war America,
which is it's
that?
crazy to think that now we're as far away from the 80s as a Christmas Story was from the 40s, which is so weird to think about.
But anyway, that's just to say that movie has a very particular interest, which I find very fascinating, but ultimately I think is watered down by what its resolution is, which was, oh, whatever, he got his gun, and it doesn't matter, so who cares?
Also, no movie's done any favors by playing it 24 hours a day for
and
years
that's
and years
the
and
yeah,
years.
and it's
like,
so and
I don't care how good it is.
It's it was the original Die Hard of Christmas movies, except it actually is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Is the sense that people are, oh, that's my favorite Christmas movie because it's kind of clever and it's not your daddy's Christmas movie compared to something like It's a Wonderful Life, which is like
makes
the
an
best
appearance
one.
in this in French.
Yeah,
which is
but
funny.
all that being said, this I think corrects those wrongs by being very fresh and funny and kind of cynical and kind of hateful, but also in the end having a moral and recognizing no, but we do love these people, and there are these like evil forces in the movie that are dealt with, and there's no gray area about who's right and who's wrong about anything. And obviously, like I said, it's a more heightened stakes that A Christmas Story doesn't need to have to tell its story. But as far as those are kind of the two competing movies, I think, for most people. And then there's also Christmas Vacation, which I feel is somewhere in the middle between those, as far as what its opinion on Christmas is and kind of its view of Christmas. Because, like I said, it's more family-centric, but it's also incredibly crass and vulgar and angry movie. And is, like I said, like A Christmas Story in that way. But that's all to say what we're kind of running around in circles saying. This fulfills, I think, what everybody kind of wants in a Christmas movie is that sense of fun. And, I mean, this is the family fun edition that we're watching.
It is the family fun edition Blu-ray.
But that sense of fun, but also, and kind of mischievousness, but also actually about something. And I know a lot of people would say, and people were like this about the movie at the time. I mean, it was very popular, but like any popular movie like this, garnered a lot of harsh criticism against it. And I think it still maintained that relatively of like film, critics and academics, and which I side with on most things, but of not liking it and thinking it's very simple. But I like that about it, and I feel like it's actually has a message that is relevant and interesting for this type of movie that easily could have been way worse.
I think out of John Hughes' career, the only thing that rivals what I'm about to say with this, as far as his screenplays, is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But the sense of character, like very quickly who all these people are, and especially these family members that can like kind of bleed
together.
into like the background. Like we get very little time with them, but we're like, oh, Uncle Frank is that. He's
Well,
got his sisters that are rolling his eyes at him. He's
that's what I
got
was gonna
his
say, that female
cousin who's wetting the bed and happy about it. Like
that one sister is like the older one-ish, or no, she's actually Frank's daughter, I think. Yes, it was like cousin,
right?
Who like Buzz, don't be a moron. That character's very like I'm counting. I'm very like yes, like even a character like that, you immediately get a sense of that's who that person is. Is they're very like organized and very strong-willed.
Even the like cops in the background of the movie, and like even the like annoying neighbor kid, like there's all these really memorable characters spread throughout this that I think is, again, Hughes was just
us to check on him.
Yes. And then all like John Candy, like there's just a lot of very memorable characters, which I think is why this movie's so memorable and so quotable.
The Scranton, Pennsylvania airline guy, like I'm tired and I'm dirty.
Was he on like a Seinfeld episode or something?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was that. And
then the guy looks like Mark Twain.
Well, then he was also that guy was also randomly in Public Enemies, if you remember. That lawyer, or no, he's like the warden or lawyer or something. Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, but
Dillinger's. Dillinger. Yeah, I'm thinking of a colleague.
You weren't a colleague of John Dillinger, were you?
No.
Okay, just making sure. But yeah, you were no Homer Van Meter. You were no Homer to his Van Meter.
Yeah.
But there's just so many characters in this movie, and we'll talk about each of them. But yeah, it's they all just leave this very memorable.
So much so that not to say too much, but me and you have dabbled in Home Alone fanfic. Is all I'm going to say.
Well, it's so rich to go through. I mean, the question is, what happens after? And it's like
right in a real way, not like Home Alone.
They lost again. Like,
which again, I actually like Home Alone 2, just because if nothing else, it's like it's like one last.
Nothing else if Duncan's toy chest.
Yeah,
it's the biggest victory lap of all time. It's like okay.
Yeah,
which is mostly fine.
Something like Spectre tried to do that, I feel like, because it was like, as far as Bond movies, Sam Mendes directed the best Bond movie, so he'll come back and do another one, and it's like one of the worst ones ever made.
Yeah, it is. No, it really is. Yeah,
which is saying something.
Yeah. Remember we went through all the Bond movies again here on back, or most of them.
Yeah,
because there were a couple we didn't get to, but because we were supposed to finish those Brosnan ones, kind of, weren't we? And then we just
Yeah, I'm content to wait just a little bit.
I don't care. I've seen those, so whatever.
But yeah, so Home Alone, you're getting ready to hear the trailer for Home Alone, and then we're going to dive right into the movie.
Where are you going? We're going to miss the plane!
When the McCallister family left on their Christmas vacation...
Did we miss the plane?
No, you just made it.
Yeah!
They forgot one small thing.
Have yourself
I've a terrible feeling. Did you lock up?
Let yourself be light.
Do we set the timers on the lights?
Mm-hmm. What else could we be forgetting?
Our troubles will be ours.
Kevin!
Home Alone.
Police in the northern suburbs are on the lookout for a pair of burglars who are calling themselves the Wet Bandits.
We know that you're in there.
It's Santa Claus and his elf.
Get off my property.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
Where's your mother?
My mom's in the car.
Where's your father?
He's at work.
What about your brothers and sisters?
I'm an only child.
Where do you live?
Can't tell you that.
Why not?
Because you're a stranger.
He's a kid. I mean, what can a kid do to us?
Kids are stupid. I know I was.
You still are, Marv.
This is it.
I don't care if I have to get out on your runway and hitchhike. I am going to get home to my son.
Yes! Where are you, you little creep? I'm gonna kill that kid! Why'd you take your shoes off?
Why are you dressed like a chicken?
Gus Polinski, polka king of the Midwest. If you have to get to Chicago, we'll gladly drive you.
Hey, guys.
Yesterday, he was just a kid. But tonight, he's a home security system.
You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
From John Hughes.
You know, I got a feeling this is going to be your best Christmas ever.
A family comedy without the family. Home Alone.
Are you here all alone?
I'm 8 years old. You think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.
Directed by Chris Columbus, coming November 16th.
So I believe it's been some time since I've seen that trailer. There's a lot of alt takes.
Yeah,
in
I
that,
wasn't
by the
aware.
way.
I'd never actually seen that trailer before, I don't think. And yeah, there was a lot of different stuff.
And also, it's
in
like
there.
home security system. Like he's
Yeah,
the
it's like,
Terminator.
yesterday he was just a kid. Now tonight he's a home security system. It's like,
yeah,
that's his only purpose. It's
Yeah.
like, what is this? Like, I have no mouth and now I must scream. Like, what are we talking about here? Like,
All right, so we're watching this on Blu-ray, the Family Fun Edition, as Levi said. We're gonna hit play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One thing there is to mention as this starts is this movie's iconography being co-opted by a lot of advertisements in the last few years. Obviously, there's the one where Macaulay Culkin actually came back as Kevin older, but then there's I just remember the Catherine O'Hara, Kevin, and like Kevin Hart is in it.
Oh,
You
right.
know, I was like catching in on that.
great
Yes.
score, just in general, because it's John Williams.
This is the whole opening sequence here is terrific. But yeah, it's one of those it's actually one of the low key most memorable John Williams scores, which is saying something because he's given us so
It's
much
like a
stuff.
horror movie.
Yeah,
It's like, what?
Remember as a kid, the first few times I watched this, I was kind of scared during this because I was like, "What's going on?" Like iconic logo, even which unexpected for a movie like this to have like an iconic logo.
Devin Rattray, Jerry Bayman. I'm just thinking of that voice now because you hear it and it gets in your head.
Lights are on, but who's home?
No one. Why is there a little E, by the way?
Yeah, because he's little.
Because he's little easy E, real easy.
Early
E.
ahead, we were doing a sound check and we were skipping ahead a little bit. And I think it might have been actually there was this featurette that was like what happened to Buzz, which you should check out. One of the iconic movie homes, by the way, too.
It gets sold all the time.
Yeah, it does.
It's up in that one suburb. I remember we looked it up at one point. But
yeah. Where was I going? What was I talking about?
Talking about that some sound or something, and that you were looking in the
that like in Buzz's room, there's an iced tea poster. If you look like that. Just also very smart cinematically to begin with, like kind of a loud, chaotic, a lot of stuff going on because most of the movie is going to be punctuated by him all alone in this house.
His own chaos.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those movies too that again we grew up watching so many times on VHS that like the movie feels like a real place, or the home feels like a real place you've been, like because the interior is so rich because of how much time you spend in it. And again, as two blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids of the 90s, we had a more than passing resemblance to Macaulay Culkin.
There's a student I've had him last 2 years. Everybody calls him my son because he looks just like me. You know who it is I'm talking about, but I won't say his name on here. He looks kind of like him. But
nobody let me do anything.
Because I always you look kind of like Macaulay Culkin when you were a kid, and I always tell people he actually this student. I say he actually looks more like my brother when my brother was a kid than he does like me. But
well, we look very, very, very similar. But
we need to talk about Kevin
and the big like Act 1 like oh my god moment coming up.
Here's a voltage adapter. Well, we do know that he is a home security system, so maybe he is a voltage adapter. What's he over there doing?
Hey, it looks like, is he
messing with a puzzle or something?
That or like coloring?
I don't.
Hi. Got the Chicago flag on his jacket. Wonder if he killed a cop to get that.
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
Well, because like, it's also interesting that Harry and Marv are like presented in this movie as like they're bad guys, but they're like PG movie bad guys. They're like, oh, the wet bandits. Oh, he leaves the water on in their house.
And like he curses, but under his breath, and you can never hear it exactly.
And this one kid here, this one brother, is in Adventures of Pete and Pete, which is a big
That's
show.
one of my favorite lines. I
90s.
hope you didn't just pack crap, Jeff. Like, she's gonna cry. Like,
Also, like, why do you care what they pack? Like, she's giving off a big. Oh God, what was that? The older girl in Rugrats.
Oh, Angelica.
Angelica, like I'm 3 years old. I know a little more than you.
Great shot there.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that last time.
The hide-a-bed.
Because that's another thing I was going to say. Now that I love a lot of John Hughes' movies, and obviously he didn't direct this, but this just looks really good. And obviously it had been years later, but cinematography's a lot better, I think.
That shot of Pesci's always been so random.
And it's
to me.
like, what did they do to shake the camera?
Yeah.
Like,
so this next shot, Ice-T poster in the background.
I've never noticed that until now. Actually, it's funny. Well, I have, but I guess I just haven't thought about it. He's a real Ice-T guy. That's hilarious.
A lot of Jordan stuff in this movie, being the late 80s, early 90s in Chicago area, obviously.
The big moment here. What was he listening to?
California Girls poster. Don't you know how to knock
I love
wad?
That's his immediate response. Look at his face.
Yeah.
He's like,
are you freaking kidding me? Imagine that. Ugh.
Anyway, Michael Jordan. This is the 90s. This is Chicago. Well, this is what's interesting too. This was even before they hadn't won a championship.
They were right on the cusp,
right? Because then they won a bunch of them in a row there.
Yeah.
But
it was only within a few years of Jordan playing where he was already being called the best player in the league. I know, which does.
Well, I mean, he was already had. I mean, he had the Jordan shoes when he was playing at Chapel Hill, right?
It was like, his rookie year of in the NBA,
which is just crazy.
Yeah, that was definitely unheard of at the time.
Yeah,
that's why it was such a big deal. But one of the great line readings ever.
Yeah.
No way.
We say that all the time. Like, no way. I say that to kids all the time at school. I'm like, when they tell me something, I'm like, no way. And they're like, they just kind of look at me like, what?
Look out.
He's just like, okay, I'm Dale Earnhardt, maybe.
He's got that Intimidator dog in him.
Yeah. Man in Black kind of dog in him.
Little Nero's Pizza.
Little
recurring.
Nero. Little Nero.
Yeah. That'd be a good rap name.
Yeah. But you only rap about this movie.
No, only Home Alone.
And not the second one. No, just this movie.
Yeah.
Duncan's toy chest doesn't
How
exist.
How dumb these two kids look coming up in this next shot.
Yeah. They look exactly alike, too.
Like totally vacant expressions. Where are you going? You hear me or what? We should mention that we're a big fan of old soundboard videos from the 2000s where they take audio clips of certain actors and people make prank phone calls with them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the stuff with Pesci's from Casino or Goodfellas, but there's a few Home Alone ones thrown in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always funny.
That'd been a chunk. I mean, that'd be a chunk of change now, but even back then, that'd be. Doesn't really say what they do. Obviously, they're upper middle class to.
Well,
we say
it's real estate.
Yeah.
So.
And our reality of it, our take. I love he's like, come on, Dad. Like he's the paternal figure in this relationship. Well, he patted him on the back.
Yeah.
That's always got to me.
That just rattles your cage.
Yeah. And then Uncle Frank here.
Yeah.
I ain't got the money.
It's funny when tax for that much money was only $2.50. Like now that would be like way more tax, but a couple more dollars. This next shot.
Fuller, all-time legend. But I'm going to piss the bed.
Like if my cousin pissed the bed, at least it would be Coca-Cola, Imitates retching. This shot, all these shots here of the tickets getting messed up.
Yeah. And this also is like kind of gives the excuse of how things get mixed up later because Kevin's
ticket
is tossed away in the trash. First act downtime coming up. We're gonna get a few downtimes we'll have to identify throughout.
Yeah. The Buzz's face here, the last one. I think it's funny they cut back to him because they had to do like another setup.
Yeah.
Like,
one of the great comebacks ever coming up.
Now what's for dinner? The pizza is still sitting there.
If he's a Browns fan or a Bengals fan. Well, he shrugged like, I don't know.
I think he's a fan of like unsolved homicide.
Thievery, yeah.
Unsolved homicide.
So if it's got an answer, I don't care.
Yep. No, I'm saying even him doing it.
Yeah, right. Committing the act. It's like great to learn about, even better to commit.
Yeah. It's better to take part in. Real hands-on learning,
fights are like Christmas. It's better to give than receive.
Mm-hmm. Real hands-on.
Hands-on learning.
Yeah.
Getting dumped on. Can you imagine if we said that to our mother?
Every time we watch it, she gets mad at that line I was about to say. So.
Her face of like, oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
It's too late. Well, did you see that picture of Buzz that was like in the foreground? It's like, but they framed that picture. It was like, uh-oh. Be careful what you wish for moment.
This shot of her. So weird. It looks like a mannequin.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
Poinsettias in the hallway.
You mean poinsettia?
Well, yeah, whatever.
Well, whatever the hell. Who cares?
Poinsettia.
You can go to hell for all I care. The hide-a-bed. I mean, that's what they call that. The Chicago Cubs Cup.
Mm-hmm.
A Chicago flag. We are Chicago. It's like, stop. Like...
There's like Santa like decoration.
Yeah. That shot's always creeped me out. Even more than this.
Don't you think it's interesting that it treats it like, his wish is gonna come true.
This sound, me taking a dump.
Liar vibes though.
Like,
but we talk about how legendary the liar, like, I wish my dad never told a lie, like wind chimes moment is, but
that guy looks like Tim Curry, kind of, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The implicit racism of the jockey.
Yeah. I like that wallpaper.
Yeah.
We've kind of been
looking at it
conditioned to
earlier.
hate wallpaper, though, from our parents. It is true, like, if you got to get rid of
Well,
it.
that was
that
whole
was big in the 80s
era
and 90s,
of the
yeah.
80s is like that, and these we've still got it in our house. These weird like floral pattern ceilings that are like kind of like popcorn. Popcorn ceilings were bigger in the 50s and 60s. These are like these like weird flower designs. Or something. I don't know how to describe it. And those were from the 70s, very likely, or maybe the 80s. I don't know, but I think two other. Since you want to know, I think two other. Well. I don't know. I've got a heroin habit. Like
Rodney Dangerfield's
yeah, like,
son.
But I think two families lived in this house before we did, so
Yeah.
who knows what they did in here.
I think by this point we've lived here longer than they
Oh,
may
definitely,
have. I
yeah.
think.
It was built in the 70s, and we've lived in it since the. Well, y'all have lived in it since the mid
94.
Yeah.
Remember, apparently we moved in Groundhog Day 94.
30 years. So the house wasn't even 30 years old when those people.
We need to have a little like 30-year house party or something.
Yeah, we
in
should
the
do
next
that.
year. But you can tell, yeah, like you said earlier, this cousin's like the older, more responsible one. What a friggin'...
Well, that'll be coming up soon because
No,
it was
literally
in February.
Yeah, February.
This stupid kid. I do. You know, kids do that to me all the time. They count when I'm counting something.
Yeah,
they'll
it's
do
like,
11.
stop.
And I'll look at them and say 11, 92, 12.
Yeah.
And then they're like shocked. I remember. And I'm like, do not screw with me. That's Trump. I mean.
But this first act does a good job of like briskly setting up how this could happen.
Yeah. Heather.
To the point of maybe over-explaining, but I think it works. Playing the Game Boy.
I've got that sound forever in my head.
Every time I hear this song, I think of this scene.
I usually do. I also think about how much I don't like it. That's another big part.
Yeah, integral.
It's O'Hare Airport, right?
Yes,
Chicago.
that's in Chicago. Yeah.
Catherine O'Hara running through O'Hare. Unapologetic Chuck Berry hair.
Yeah, Levi's not a fan. Is that partially why you're like, about Back to the Future?
That's one of multiple reasons,
Yeah.
yeah. I find that whole moment to be incredibly stupid.
I think it's kind of
even
funny,
beyond
but, you know.
even beyond it being Chuck Berry. I just don't like it. I don't know.
Let me just say to the listeners, I love Back to the Future, the first one, but
it's not a bad movie. Yeah, it's good. I just
Champagne, please. It's free, isn't it?
It's just like of other movies of that era. I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't know, like it's whatever. Like, also, I'm just not a big Zemeckis fan in general either. I mean, like Castaway's great, but
that was a
Rabbit's
kind of
really
earlier
good.
version of Zemeckis that, and
Yeah.
I feel like since the '90s he's been more quote serious, like made more serious movies, but.
I don't know, even from like expressly from a rock and roll standpoint,
Chuck Berry.
there's just a lot of earlier rock and roll I like way better than Chuck Berry, but that's just me.
What was that Robert Zemeckis movie he made about Beatlemania?
I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Yeah, I've always heard that was good, but
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I don't think I've seen all used cars either. Like, a lot of people like that.
Romance in the Stone, you've seen that.
Yeah.
The modern 1990 kitchen. You know?
Yeah.
Is that Miracle on 34th Street?
I think so. I can't quite make out what it was.
That shot is so like
Literally
used
looks
in a
like an
commercial.
American Airlines
Yeah.
commercial. This shot starts off with this classy looking couple, and then it's like them behind. even in like trying to hide, like that
well, that's
I'm
the best way to
steal
hide
stuff,
something
like,
is to be
act like
confident, a
jerk.
confident a-hole. Yeah, I mean,
it's true. We learn from the best, I guess.
What's so bad about them?
Really representing the yuppie, like, we have it better than we used
Yeah, it's
to.
like, what was
vibe.
wrong with their house? What
Yeah.
they do? Make you scrub the toilet with your own mouth? Like, I don't know. It's like,
how do you feel about the whole like taking a holiday, like
I
Christmas,
don't like it in
another
general.
country,
But
or, like, far away?
I've thought about wanting to go to London for Christmas in the next few years.
I'd like to do that
just because I've never been. But
yeah, I think it'd be a cool time to go somewhere like that. But that always scared me as a kid, like
it's
the model,
friggin' weird, like.
mannequin for real. I love he's like associates the concept of a joke with Uncle Frank because Frank is a joke, but yeah. Love it's like Halloween stuff and out of the way, put up.
Well, why they have so many daggum mannequins in their house is what I want to know.
It is random, yeah.
Well, I guess it's because she assumedly does all this like design work or something. That's kind of what we come up with anyway, wasn't it?
I don't even know if we remembered it even from this, if we just did that. But
she's like a designer or whatever.
This does echo the whole idea when you're a kid of something like relatively small growing in your imagination and something that's scary, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the funny thing about entering a basement or an attic. You become scared about other things like animals and like stuff that isn't like there's a monster down there. It's just like there's spiders and dust and like all these other things that are scary or just worrisome. Not exactly scary, but it's yeah.
I love these insert shots of all these. It's like, you suck.
Which are funny because obviously, let's say they had to do different setups for each of these. This is the best one. Because it wasn't even in the... That one's a canted angle, too. That one, too. And then him like, no, I'm straight on.
Yeah.
I'm straight and to the point.
Yeah.
Like, like he's barely awake.
Yeah.
Yahoo!
So yeah, I'm gonna jump on the bed and eat popcorn. That's
what
honestly not that far off from what my fantasy would be, but whatever.
I ought to go to the movies one day and just jump up and down on a chair doing that.
Yeah.
And then scream this. And run up to somebody and do this.
Very similar shot and setup to later.
Yeah.
Playboy magazine. Broadcast nudes. This
moment.
This is like in the Bond movie where he's like got a gadget. Oh, if you ever need this, like Buzz's girlfriend, Wolf.
Really though, wow.
Which I think I might be wrong about this. That was some boy that they dressed up to look like her. It might have been John Hughes' son or something. It was somebody I can't remember who, but it was a boy. Got like a Walter Payton figure.
Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do this, but now I'm fulfilling my fantasy.
Yeah, this is his big thing. It's like he could do this on any Saturday when nobody's at home. Like,
yeah.
What a precise matchup of sound and image of like hitting and landing.
Dang, who's cleaning that up?
Literally, Bruce Springsteen
video
concert
anthology.
Movie. Yeah, Rolling Stones too.
Yeah. Don't you love that? Like, I've always wanted to watch this adult movie. It's like, and it's this Angels with Filthy Souls, which of course clearly aping 30s gangster movies.
Angels with Dirty Faces. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, no, Angels with Dirty Faces is the real one.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I was
Yeah.
just saying yes to what you were.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, right.
Huh?
But no, yeah. This is Angels with Filthy Souls.
Excuse me. This is classic cinema. This is not rubbish.
Watching rubbish. I should say that sometime. I was like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just watching rubbish." If a kid actually said that to me when they were on their computer or something,
yeah,
I'd be like, "You know what? Keep doing that. Like,
keep up the rubbish."
This is just so violent. Like,
can't believe it. I love this pause.
I mean, he's like thinking about it almost. Nobody's Angel by Thomas McGuane.
Yeah. Relatively early on in the book, you can tell he's in.
Yep.
You can tell he's been sitting on the nightstand for a while, and he's like, "I need to finally do this."
Yeah.
That guy sleeping on the left.
Yeah.
Zonk
He did forget to close the garage, by the way.
Yeah.
He is one of those people, though, Kevin, that it's like, yeah, it kind of would be impossible to forget him because daggum, like. But, you know.
There were a few times now our steps aren't quite as big as this, but it went sledding down. Not on.
I just do it with my body.
Well, I like wrap myself in a blanket and slide down it like.
What, to like emulate this or just
in general, or
well,
like
I'll just
get on a
slide
pillow
down
too.
I'll just slide down on my body.
Right on a pillow.
When the turd ain't hit the water yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But it's coming.
That kind of suspended animation. I want to look like that someday.
Be balding.
Yeah.
Be a dirtbag. Like.
His big moment.
We got our formal introduction to the Wet Bandits.
Man chuckles. Okay.
Watch this. You're gonna love this.
Wait.
671. Now. And that's the one log, and that's the silver tuna.
It's very G.
It's very G. Very good G. Yes.
Possible cash whore.
Odd marketable securities.
It is, kind of funny that it has the Grinch playing in TV in the background while they're sneaking up. And
sick.
What I like too is it's kind of becoming, and he's still got some fun times to be had. But it's like, kind of getting, kind of running through all the fantasy options that he had about, I'm all alone.
He has so much trouble with his door.
This is the first of a bunch of times Kevin's going to try to fool him into thinking that they're there.
Yeah. He fixed the clock.
Yeah.
How long a flight from Chicago to France would be.
Google that and see if there's...
It might be a little quicker now than it was then, though.
Yeah. So this is non-stop flight from Chicago to Paris, and again, this is in 2023, is 8 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah. Might be rounded up to about maybe 9. I don't know. I don't know how much faster they go.
Yeah.
And theirs was a non-stop, so.
Non-stop. It's not stopping. He's just like waiting around, like
he's just standing there,
waiting. I mean, it is a creepy image, I guess. Didn't lock the door, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, who needs that?
Yeah, hi, look. Sergeant Balzac.
Yeah. We'll just leave that there. The donut on the phone.
Hang on.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I thought that it was saying she went over to call and there were just a bunch of answer machines sitting there.
Yeah. Just the thick Chicago accent on this guy.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Chicago accent as a general phenomenon? Chicago.
It's annoying. Sorry. I mean, I guess my accent's annoying to some people too, so that's fine. I mean,
I can't believe that you can't bump somebody or ask somebody.
I'm sorry, but there's no way I can do that.
Was there a way, like, if you ask somebody? I mean, if you brought somebody up here and explained to them that this is an emergency.
Sending a policeman over to the house to check.
That's all right. Everything here is booked.
There's nothing to Chicago?
There's nothing to Chicago, New York, Nashville. You name it.
Nashville.
Charlotte. Nope. Anything that you do actually do here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Is there anything you do here at an airport?
Absolutely nothing more than we can do in this airport. Now, I say we go over to Rob's, and that way we can call the police again, and they can get back to us.
Peter, Kevin is home all by himself. I'm not leaving here unless it's on an airplane.
Madam, we are doing everything we can. Now, if you want to stay at the airport, maybe we can get you on standby. It is a possibility that the seat will open up.
Okay?
Yes.
This song.
Parting Ways. You seen that shot in the background? They were all hugging her goodbye, and Buzz was literally like messing with his hair, like looking the other way.
Yeah.
Like,
He's an a-hole.
yeah.
But you get to Paris and then you wait around in an airport.
One thing I was going to mention too earlier on is that there's a lot of these scenes where Culkin is all by himself. There's like no scene partner, which in some way might be actually a little easier for a child actor. I don't know. There has its own challenges, I know, but where you can, if you're directing the actor, like you're only focused on them getting, not necessarily running lines with somebody else, like even though they're saying lines.
So I've seen old baseball cards like that here recently in stores and stuff, old stores like
from the 80s.
Yeah. What even is that poster?
It's Isaiah Thomas, it looks like, for the Pistons.
No, I'm talking about over the left.
Oh, yeah. I was looking at that basketball one. So clearly, Buzz is an all-around sports fan, but it seems like basketball is the biggest one between them.
And wrestling.
Yeah.
As we
sports
know.
Entertainment, yeah. In our fanfic, he's big into Razor Ramon. So, hey, yo.
Scott Hall.
Yeah. Probably was into Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
Big Daddy Cool.
Is Vince McMahon what's in? Vinny Mick. I love that in the midst of all this, I love that he's presented as this little bit more mature one, but even he's like, I'm going to play with like a freaking toy car. Yeah. He's got that stupid goggles. So you're playing with a friggin' remote control car.
Screaming.
It's got the tag like still hanging on it.
Yeah.
Hey, Harry? Yeah? That house we were at last night, was that the McCallisters?
Yeah.
You're right. They're gone. Silver tuna tonight.
Nice.
Wow. Wow. Like, you freak. She's just so annoyed.
It is funny that he's like, I do care about that though. Like, I need that to be true.
Ah! Yeah. Sorry, I
Herb
guess.
does kind of have a Judge Reinhold kind of look to him. Something about the hair, I think. I don't know.
Like, he's so serious. Yeah, he's like, oh, God. What happened to his hand?
Cut it shaven. Yeah. Little twitch he gave a second ago.
Wait, son, you have to pay for that toothbrush. Son? Hey! Jimmy, stop that bull!
Jimmy's gonna jump into action. And Jimmy's gonna kick the can down the road and have the cop deal with it.
The cops look at him here. It's like, wait,
he's writing somebody a ticket.
Yeah. They got away with it.
Yeah. I hope they drove away.
Yeah.
So it's like a double L for
It'd be
this
funny
guy.
if it cut back here and it showed them just driving away, kind of, yeah. This person's butt here.
It does look kind of chaotic. There's people like almost like kicking around the ice hockey in the middle of other people that,
yeah,
skating. But I'm not a skilled skater, so I wasn't born for that life. Never went ice skating, but I've went to the roller rink back in the day. It's like, dang. This is where it all began. Meanwhile, this is what you can become if you're a criminal. This is what awaits. Life of degradation. You got a little sack of goodies.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Laugh. You did it again, didn't you? You left the water on it, didn't you? What's wrong with you? Why do you do that? I told you not to do it. Harry, it's our calling card. All the great ones.
Love later on when he's running through the neighbor's house and all the water's everywhere. Like he just can't help himself.
Don't forget at the end, that's how the cops can sort out how many houses they robbed.
That kind of heat.
Yeah.
Dodge.
That's all you're gonna do.
Yeah. That's always on the driver, usually. Got the little gold tooth. That's the OK trademark. That look, that shot with the reflection.
Yeah.
There's only so stealthy you can be in a van like that. They really just stopped and were like looking around like, oh, don't mind us.
I told you something was wrong. I knew he looked at me weird. Why would he run?
The church will save him.
No, they were right on him too. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't know how they lost him. Like,
I mean, they're pretty much losers anyway, so it's easy for that to happen. That's where you need to be.
not going in there. This should be your pick for the episode.
Yeah. We'll see.
No, that's what it's going to be.
I'll be ready.
Once you hear this song and you hear pumpkin pie is effing pie, you'll never hear it the same
Yeah, I
again.
can't hear it again and not think of that. The Christmas party hop.
Michael saved the
This
day.
back when he had hair.
Yeah. And didn't have gambling debt.
What's a nice little train set? I always wanted a nice train set. I mean, I had kind of one growing up, but that's probably when I'm going to be one of my old man hobbies one day is to get into that. At least those mannequins got some use.
Yeah. The Champs-Élysées.
Yeah.
Champs-Élysées.
Champs-Élysées. This would have been the first time I ever had any familiarity with knowing what It's a Wonderful Life was.
And she's got like the French book out trying to figure it out. His moment. My little children.
I'm looking for my son. You know where he is?
He's going all in on that shrimp.
Rotting.
The child with a conscience, you know. That actress we've talked about before, maybe on here, is in Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even.
Right. Originally called
Kids.
Step Kids. Little Trout. You ready?
Yep. Smoke detectors.
No fiddling around. Don't do it.
Do not do that. Back door, please.
What do you do with the paper?
Stuck it in
his
in
drawers.
Yeah. He actually this kid looks a lot like a former student I had.
Well,
imagine if you heard that. That was
yeah. That's me when a kid turns in missing work.
Yeah.
Johnny. No way he could do this. By the way.
Yeah.
Only 20 cents. Yeah, imagine if somebody said to you, keep the change, you filthy animal.
Well, they give you a 20-cent tip.
And I know everybody just says that now. It's like a quote that people say. But just if someone literally called you, literally said, keep that change, you filthy animal. Like,
and then it literally he's firing a gun
in his own house.
But also imagine the reality of this, like you just saw what this family looked like a few days ago.
Right. It's like, who's in there doing that? He probably literally thought it was Uncle Frank. Like,
Frank went AWOL.
He's still shooting. Is he killing his family? Like, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, what, did he turn the gun on his own family?
Hypothetically, he should call the police if he heard what was going on.
No. Phones are out.
Mm-hmm.
You're not paying attention.
Levi, you love yourself a good cheese pizza too. More and more, I'm down.
What do you need more on there for? I mean,
I agree. Do you think it is? Come on, Irene, they're boarding.
It's a
good
that
guy earlier. I said, look at Mark Twain.
It's a good little moment of action from Catherine O'Hara where she's looking at the ring and you can tell she's thinking, I really don't want to sell that. But
yeah.
Well, I've never noticed that before. But come on. Yeah, Mark Twain. Like.
Samuel Clemens.
Oh, all right. All right. That was me as somebody we know. I think you know who it is, don't you? Yeah. First time I ever saw
Johnny Carson.
Him, yeah. And still as annoying now as he was then. No, just kidding. Actually like him quite a bit, but other than him being kind of racist.
In the last episode, we ended it with that time. Oh God, what's his name was on there?
Charles Grodin.
Charles Grodin. Yeah. It's amazing. How long have you been on the air? Do like those sheets, so red sheets. Big aftershave moment coming up. Which is just funny to think about. He's like not even shaving, but he's using it.
Yeah, and it's like, and he did it once already, and he's doing it again. This scene really doesn't make any sense, actually. Like,
I've not really watched many of the deleted scenes for this movie. I should do that. Probably a lot of random other things. Big moment. Like in the trailer we were watching earlier, there's like this scene he has here in a minute with the cashier. There's like a manager who was there during the trailer version of the scene saying her lines like
she couldn't do it herself.
Yeah.
Like,
I always remember this actress was in The Sopranos, as was John Hurd. And she was like a nurse taking care of Tony Soprano when he was in the hospital. And she said about, oh yeah, we did the wallet biopsy. I'm sure and he's like, the what? And he's like, oh, they checked, saw you had, insurance or whatever. And he's like, get out of my room, you sick F. He says to her.
Yeah.
She just leaves. How adult he's acting.
Yeah.
For the kids. Somebody like, oh, now them groceries would be $50 or more.
Yeah, they probably would. That was a funny tweet I saw one time. Somebody said, "What do you even complain about gas prices? What the f am I gonna do? Walk?" Like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, I mean,
complain about inflation is literally like, who cares? Like, it's not. You're not gonna do anything that's gonna change it. Like, people get mad at the government all the time. That's like, who do you think sets the prices? The government sits down and sets every price for everything. No, it's the corporations that are doing it. If you, my EPF kids are listening, you know, or maybe don't. I tried to hit you over the head with it in the ways that I could. He's really becoming an adult. He's growing into his own. So much he's like, man, you washed. You ain't even all that anymore. It's like it's just to me.
Yeah.
To me. And the real meeting of the minds. I love that they got all the snow globes in front of.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
His thing.
Thing. Yes.
That yeah. Mm.
Go ahead. Then washing the dishes. Love this moment. Well, just has this movie on standby all the time now.
Alvy hooked up the sound to it too. The stereo.
AC. I ain't heard that nickname before. He's upstairs taking a bath. I'll jump in later with him. Like,
okay.
I mean, it might be what they're about. I don't know. More power to him. Indeed, I hope that's what's going on. He adds an extra dimensional touch to this one, though.
Yeah. The shot here of this.
Some, like, mayhem.
Yeah. Holiday mayhem.
He just got blown away. Blew him away.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Touching back down in America. This is that guy we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
What about another room?
Nothing available. May I help you get a hotel room in the city? Tomorrow afternoon we can get you a flight to Chicago.
I can't wait that long.
I'm terribly sorry, ma'am, but we're doing absolutely everything we can.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Excuse me, your place is open to see. No ticket there. Let's go.
Excuse me. Yeah, how'd look? I'm tired and I'm dirty. I'm dirty. It's funny that she went from Paris to Dallas and now went further east back to like, Pennsylvania.
Wait. This is Christmas. The season of perpetual hope. And I don't care if I get out on hitchhike.
This is a dark turn here.
Yeah.
John Candy's face in the back. Oh my God. Do it. Do anything. What? both Canadian comics here. I think SCTV alums. We haven't really talked much about him, but John Candy was always funny in anything he was in. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, of course, with him and Steve Martin. John Hughes directed that movie as well, as far as wrote it too.
Yeah, he's good.
I mean, we talked about him in JFK also. Just wow, what a turn. I love that jacket.
Twin Lakes polka, Damavuji polka, aka Kiss Me polka, polka twist.
These are songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we some fairly big hits for us, in the early '70s, Yeah, we sold about 623 copies of that.
In Chicago?
No, Sheboygan, very big in Sheboygan. They love it,
That's right. Did you say you could help me?
Anyway, I'm dead wrangling. Our flight was canceled, so we gotta drive. So, see the guy in the yellow jacket over there? Well, the budget's on. He's gonna rent us a nice big van. We're gonna drive to Milwaukee. Now, I heard you had some problems. You're getting to Chicago.
Chicago?
My son, we left me. He's there.
Oh, jeez. If you have to get to Chicago, we'll gladly drive you. It's on the way to Milwaukee.
You give me a ride?
Sure we will. Why not? You gotta get home and see your kid.
A ride to Chicago?
Sure. It's Christmas time.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
You don't mind going with some polka bums?
No, I'd love to.
Again, that subplot, not necessarily needed, but adds an extra little dimension, I feel like, to the movie, and gives Catherine O'Hara some extra scenes. Still working on fooling the bozos here. One of the big lines coming up in the movie. I think we're getting scammed by a kindergartner. Cutting down his own tree. In a quote. Kindergartner in quotes in the subtitles. These are, we've talked about this in the past, some of my favorite subtitles where it's like it goes in the direction that the character is.
Yeah.
On the screen. Which, if you think about it, if you're hard of hearing, actually would be a good benefit as far as knowing who's saying what.
Dad, can you come here and help me?
Title drop coming.
Yeah.
Nice. Home Alone moment. Oh, they're making a little itinerary here.
Yeah.
Got these elf ears here in a second.
Yeah.
It looks so pointy looking.
Everything in the house, I wanted it.
I wanted
it.
You should have played a little goblin. Kids are scared. Not even thinking Dad's gonna be back, just like Mom.
No Dad.
Yeah. Where do you stand on polka?
I don't know enough about it, but I like what I've heard, actually, fine enough.
Mildly dislike, but don't hate. Just like, okay, but whatever.
There's a lot of that, like...
Dislike's even a strong word, like mildly, but...
you know, there's a lot of that European folk music that a lot of people hate, and I am interested in. I mean, it's just that you don't normally hear it, so it's like around here or anything, so I'm mostly fine with it, but...
The Dirtbag Santa coming up.
Yeah. I saw that guy in something... Here, we saw him in something here a while back. I can't remember what it was. You know what I mean?
This guy's name is Kenneth Hudson Campbell. He's in Groundhog Day, man.
That's what it was,
because
because we watched it on here, yeah.
In 2014, he was in a movie called Live New Girls as a Cannonball Calhoun.
Wow. It seems like this makes you sad, makes you think about all the stuff Santas have been told.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah,
yeah.
like,
and also that people who write to the North Pole, I think the post office reads those and tries to send stuff to certain families or whatever, or people volunteer to buy certain things. Don't spoil your dinner with Tic Tacs.
By the way, he got Tic Tacs because he literally is an alcoholic, you can tell. Like, puts Tic Tacs in after he's drunk gin.
I never even thought of that, but yeah.
We literally say that all the time. Son of a...
I like those blue Christmas lights.
Oh, to the right?
Yeah. Kind of a twinkle toes.
I'm kind of still thinking about it. I don't know.
I could tell you're like,
Yeah, I didn't say anything. I don't know.
Oh,
it's like that scene. I haven't even seen the whole movie, but it's like that scene in Catch Me If You Can, where he when he gets arrested, he goes back to his old house and's looking in, and they just come get him.
I remember reading a Spielberg kind of biography where he talked about seeing that with the Christian families in his neighborhood and like on the outside looking in, thinking not exactly that he wanted Christmas, but that like how he was outside of that world, you know.
Yeah.
There's some of that in the Fabelmans, I know, a little bit. That was a great movie.
Yep.
The church will save him again.
Maybe the scene of the movie, ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just because I'm a Christian person, and also like I was like hearing these things, but like if any music that's ever been made, it's like you can't really beat a great hymn or just like a chorus of sorts. Like
it looks like the way they're facing each other. It's like a face-off.
Yeah, like who will do. I've always noticed that about Catholic churches are built really strange like that, like certain ones.
Again, talking about that sense of scale, this movie's done that a lot already, but just makes it feel even bigger from Kevin's perspective because he's obviously a child. And kind of speaks to, you get the feeling, I mean, not to get too much into the weeds on this, but that his family doesn't go to church very often, so he's almost intimidated by the space, which people easily can be. Especially in Catholic churches, just from the outside looking in.
Well, that's, there's a lot of reason we were talking about wanting to go to London. That's one of the big ones for me, is just going to all the churches. Because there's so many there.
Yeah, those old Anglican churches. Oh, you're not totally evil? Oh, wait, my brother's a degenerate liar? Oh, okay. Like he didn't know that already.
A degenerate gambler.
I mean, future degenerate liar, future degenerate gambler.
Yeah. it does make me wonder. It's like, do people just go around saying he's this serial killer, like, you know, or like mass murderer or whatever? Like, not enough evidence to convict.
Yeah.
Choir indistinct.
I've been kind of a pain lately. I said some things I shouldn't have. I really haven't been too good this year.
Notice that, like, if they're on screen, the subtitle is in regular print, but if they're off screen, it's in italics. The reverse shot.
Not really, from younger brother perspective, by the way, but whatever.
Well, he don't have a good one, so.
Well, that's true.
We, not doing the second one, that shortchanges the whole scene in that one towards the beginning of like them singing in the choir.
Yeah,
remember
the choir.
The choir.
Yeah,
and like he's like he's using the drums, and then like later on he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury."
Yeah,
like, he's like a lawyer. Like,
I don't know about all that. Yeah. That'd be a good sound clip to use at random. Basements are like that. It's like, what? Like,
what's in your basement like?
Well, you kind of mentioned this already implicitly, but I like this scene is shot reverse shot over and over, which seems lazy, but I like it's real close up, which I like, because there are close ups in this movie, but these are the most memorable ones.
There's not a lot of like longer dialogue scenes though, and this is one of them. The next one's going to be Catherine O'Hara and John Candy as far as dialogue driven heavy scenes. Well, you can be fancy with the camera all you want, but ultimately it's all about showcasing performances. I mean, in the end, so. And even as a young director, Columbus understood that. But
this time he has a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
What did he do to his hand, though?
He's down in his basement, whatever he's doing.
Yeah, basements are like that.
Yeah.
Like,
this is time to mention the pigeon lady in the second one, which
God.
is very clearly like an attempt to do this again. Like,
this is it.
But yeah, that's just kind of lazy to me as far as just
bad
rinse and repeat. Like, it's like we said, like a Home Alone sequel shouldn't have been set at Christmas. It should have been set like any other time of the year, like
Yeah,
like,
that would have been more interesting.
Like Memorial Day.
It's a good little like device
July
to have
4th.
all the lights coming on, because he was saying earlier what time they came on and everything.
Right.
I don't really think about that now, but
he throws all this together fairly quickly.
he might have had it all ready already, maybe, like, or parts of it. The plan. This is it.
Yeah.
If it literally, I really don't. I only joke about this because I want to tell a story about something that is genuinely terrible but kind of hilarious at the same time is that what if it literally said the final solution on it or something?
Yeah.
And then the story I'm going to tell, because it reminded me of that. So like, I'm not even making this up. So like this whole new North Carolina pay scale they've been trying to do the last few years for teachers, that they had that whole group of people come together on that were all, you know, blood-sucking scumbags.
Yeah.
I'm not even
Apologies
kidding.
to any blood-sucking scumbags listening to the pod.
Right, yeah, you're better than them, believe me. That,
Unless
and I
you're a
won't go
Nazi.
into all the I won't go into all the
literal Nazi.
details. Well,
Yeah.
we're getting there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I won't go into all the details about what that pay scale is, but it's annoying in certain ways, and it's basically going to be based on pay brackets that are dictated by your principal, and it's very controversial. Anyway, they literally called their little ding dong here. They literally called their final version of it, or the final solution. Is
So
literally what they called it.
You tell no social studies teachers.
And I
anything to do with
literally
that.
laughed audibly in the meeting I was hearing about this and said, "Wow."
Yeah.
That's literally all I said, and just laughed like.
Literally,
Just,
like, why would you call it
effing
that?
kidding me? Like, teachers here, come on, like, literally.
Yeah, kids are stupid. As he said.
But anyway,
this mac and cheese looks really good.
Yeah. Because I don't know if I've told that story on here before, so
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
Nice
Like,
milk.
I'm not. Why would he cut it? By the way, it's literally mac and cheese. What do you need to cut? Like,
just to make himself feel like an adult.
I guess. Does it just sit there the whole movie? I wonder.
His next line.
Yeah, he's ready. And the sound.
Don't get scared now.
You know, I've never seen one of the because I always use ones that have the
like the cock at the bottom.
The what do you call it? Yeah,
Or
the repeater
or-
pump.
yeah.
The repeater pump on it, not like a shotgun pump on
Yeah.
them. So that has both, which is weird.
Yeah.
It's like.
It's like, oh my god, you cooking more.
Yeah, like, yeah.
We mentioned this last time, but coming out the same year as Goodfellas,
Yeah.
and all the obscenities that he says in that and this, he's like,
What happened?
Like, very clearly he wants to drop
Yeah.
every F-bomb, like, imaginable. But
There's a lot of moments I'm gonna say this going forward. I'm gonna say the same thing. Literally one of the funniest things ever, getting shot right in the face, that close range, like. I actually wonder how they did that effect to have that very brief moment at the beginning of the shot of the bullet or the BB like shooting out, like. When you said that about your cooking, made me think of something some of my kids say a lot. One of them in particular says, and they say it exactly like this. I think it's something like this, like, "You're bugging. You don't know that I'm thugging," or something like they say all the time. Like, meanwhile, this face.
These little sounds.
Yeah. I wish we could speed this up. This moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. It almost was sped up. That would suck. This whole situation's real. That would suck.
Yeah.
Then again, I'm not a
But I mean, then
not a
again-
house robber. Like,
Yeah.
smart Alec.
That slick Alec.
Nobody's ever called out Baldwin a smart Alec. You gotta get those feet to the side. Yep, come on. If it comes to him. It's crazy how, by the way,
should have been in something together. Like,
yeah, it's crazy how, by the way, there's really only about like 20 minutes left in this movie, and how this whole section feels longer than it actually is because it packs so much in.
Yeah, well, this is what like the movie was marketed around, anyways, and remembered for a lot of stuff in this area. We're just gonna terrorize these adults. That's another kid fantasy, you know.
Well, it's a fantasy that many children live out. So, actually, not to this level, but his head almost literally hit that pipe. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like, he's so stupid. He wasn't even looking. Like, he must be bugging. You don't even know that he's thugging. That would suck.
What a
yeah. Like
he was legit knocked out. It looks like he's like just now waking up. Son of a what?
This might be the worst of all.
Yeah,
actually, that would suck so bad. The cartoonish like smoke, that little cockles sound. He was literally right there, like.
And I know there's been a lot of people on the internet talk about this kind of thing, but like at this point, he easily could have called the cops. He's like, no, this is personal.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take you down. Like,
yeah, there would have been more than enough time for the police to get there.
Yeah.
Like.
He's like, no, I'm consciously doing this.
What hurts worse is he hits his back. Fascist.
I mean, this is pretty bad. Who do you think gets the worst end of all?
Oh, actually, Harry, I think.
Well, Marv gets a freaking blowtorch to his head, like.
No, I'm talking.
Oh yeah,
Harry does.
Yeah, Harry. Yeah. I've got the names mixed up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Him probably. He gets burned a lot more.
Yeah. He does get crowbarred pretty directly here in a little bit. That's pretty bad.
Who, Harry?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How's he even get back up the steps? Yeah.
Well, Marv gets crowbarred when he's got the.
Well, he gets crowbarred though too because he gets hit with it when the thing's on him.
Oh, right. Yeah. But
this part coming up is I think about all the time.
He goes through the window.
Like,
I love the look on his face
like
right
he's
before
he's so confident,
yeah.
And it's just like your day's over. Like
you ain't playing on Sunday.
It's too late for you, kid. We're already in the house. We're gonna get you.
Okay, come and get me.
we got a camouflage gun strap too.
Yeah. Well, this is just pure annoyance.
Yeah, that's just like humiliation. Yeah.
Why the hell you dressed like a chicken?
What's so funny about this? We can clearly see it, and it's like you already know what's going to happen. But.
Yeah, but just his look.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm in. It's almost like he just forcefully slams it down too, just for the.
I probably literally.
I mean, clearly
would.
the actor did, but like I think it's.
And these shots of him stepping on it. Oh God. His feet get the worst stuff.
Yeah. They both look. What they both look.
Yeah. Just really don't look at anything.
Yeah. Are you thirsting more?
Yeah.
They're getting a little spicy here.
Stupid look on his face. What's funny is his head got hit by that and then hit the other one on the way down too.
He's only a kid, Harry. We can take him. Ah, shut up, will ya? What is it?
You're missing some teeth.
Where? That's my gold tooth. My gold tooth. I'll kill him. I'll kill him. You found me with one more can, and I'll snap up your cojones.
Your cojones. There's an alright now will involve the authorities.
I never noticed that line. You never know what's up there. Alright, this is it.
Yeah.
The biggest moment of the movie right here.
The scream.
Like, we knew he's kind of a wimp, but it's just another level of wow, that's what you do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't love spiders, but I'm not like deathly afraid of them either. Like some people I know are. I would be more that way with snakes than I would be spiders.
But wow, though.
Yeah.
He's ready. Don't move. The hide-a-bed.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that one got this, bro.
Must be bugging. You don't know what I'm thugging.
What are you doing, Marv? Harry, don't move. Marv? No. Marv, what are you doing?
He got hit right in the sternum.
Yeah.
How do you like that, you jerk? He's like, thinks it's on him. This sound. Wait, what did he break?
Like a glass vase is what it sounds like. But
this line.
He committed suicide?
Like, that's his next thing to do.
Yeah.
Is like, the only way that works is if like he could pin the murder on them somehow. It's like, but why would you do that? I don't know.
He ain't got a cell phone. He ain't Zach Morris.
He ain't Terry Huffman. One of the first people around here to ever have a cell phone.
Are you afraid?
You know, though.
Yeah. I love that he's like, it's like, don't be stupid. We're not going to go through the whole house again. Hey, let's climb across this rope, though. That's a great idea. Keep going. Shut up.
It's such a weird shot. You can tell they got like the camera on that, and then they got this light on it. Like, they really got it pretty good, actually, out of that.
Yeah, they definitely could have been worse. Wow.
There he is. Like,
yeah.
well, I mean, it's funny. He's gonna be thinking like, wait, what? Like,
Hiya, pal.
we outsmarted you. It sounds like Bugs Bunny.
Looks
We
like, look at those
outsmarted you.
drawers, like they went through the drawers,
Yeah.
like. Like, bro, you mad?
That's so weird.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'll watch it too.
Yeah.
Like, his head hit the chair.
Yeah. He ain't playing on Sunday. He's getting blue tinted.
He must be bugging. He don't even know he's bugging. Thuggery is one of my favorite words.
The doctor of thugonomics.
Who's that? The doctor of thugonomics. Who's that?
John Cena.
He's the doctor of thugonomics.
That was his.
I guess. I don't know.
Back in the day, he
so
was
stupid. Like,
well,
I mean, he is pretty stupid. So that.
I gotta spell this for you.
Yeah.
I want you to get the spelling right when it ends up in the newspaper.
Not like WHET.
Yeah.
Bandits with a Z. Like,
Wet my beak bandits. Like,
well, this is the song they choose in this moment.
yeah, kind of mournful. It's like, bye bye SOB.
He's like, you piece of trash. As Pauline Kael once wrote, human garbage.
What she thought of this movie?
She probably didn't like it. I think I saw that actually, a review of that here a while back. That something she said about it. It was like, yeah, screw this or something. I don't know. Real predictable.
Literally Googled Pauline Kael Home Alone. There's a Reddit post that says where to start with Pauline Kael. Yeah.
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
Peace.
Scene that goes randomly harder than it needs to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty, yeah, for polka, like.
Wow. Wow. No, but so you had to think about it for a little bit. This, like,
He was okay, you know, after 6-7 weeks. Came around, started talking again.
wow.
But he's okay. You know, they get over it. Kids are resilient like that.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about this.
You brought it up. I was just, trying to cheer you up.
I'm sorry.
That's a nice thick snow right there.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the kind you want to wake up and find in your cracks, you know.
I thought you were gonna say that's the kind you want to find on Christmas
No.
morning, but you decided to go another direction.
Yeah.
You know,
I took another way out. Took the easy way out on that one. But actually, it's harder to get to that, but more effort in your mind.
then you got a little robe.
His little punk ass robe. There was a vocab test I just gave this last week where the word part punk, P-U-N-C, was in there, like punctual or puncture or whatever. And somebody said, he's a punk. As the answer, I said, no. Like,
he's a CM Punk.
Yeah. What do you say?
Also from Chicago.
Chicago Metropolitan Punk.
Chicago metro area punk.
Yeah. Charlotte Metro Punk.
I'm sure he's been to Charlotte.
Or
before.
sorry, Charlotte Mecklenburg Punk.
Yeah. Somebody's had a sign that said that before.
Yeah.
It had to be. SmackDown's going to be in Charlotte in February, so somebody better have that sign.
Where are you at?
Even though he's on Raw, who cares? Do it. That puss he's got, like, I don't know. You're no longer home alone.
Well, that's the funny thing about this movie too, you know, is how long they're pretty much. He's not with his family the whole movie.
Yeah,
you know, and it's kind of they
home
have
alone.
their own stuff, and then he has his own stuff. But
they're home alone. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
What, driving around to pick up your order?
Yep.
Yeah. If you're like listening and you're like a sane person and you're like, what? Go read Go read Thinner by Stephen King. Kevin, my boy.
Kevin, my boy.
Kevin, my boy. Like, you don't really care, almost.
Hey, Kev.
He probably literally killed him after he saw his room. So there wouldn't be a second one. That little, like...
Doesn't the second one also end with, like, a cliffhanger from him saying something?
Yeah, where... Well, no, it was the dad, because he used his credit card.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Even that had to be repeated, like...
You notice how the
Their looks of like, oh my
God. The last hour of the movie encompassed like 24 hours, it seems like. What a funny guy. What a funny guy.
Just
Get it.
hung around,
Get it.
all laughing, including us.
Everybody is. Anyway.
How do you know? You got to be reminded how to breathe, probably, like, here and there. Like,
by the way, it's funny. It's like they literally have been wanting to get back to him this long, and then, we'll leave him alone for a few minutes. It's like they can have his final moment, like
his final resting peace moment. Yeah,
resting beer face moment.
Real Home Alone,
his
shiny
little mouth
New Year
movement here.
That's specific.
Yeah,
I didn't remember that.
I think about it all the time.
Family reunited.
Turns out none of us were home alone. Except him, actually. But
I mean, even Harry Marv, they're even going to the big house, you know? So.
Yeah. Up in Michigan? Right?
Yeah. The Slammer. Assured another year minimum of useless bullying, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, for once, he actually did do something
really
bad, so... Yeah.
Well, that's Home Alone.
Orchestral
Orchestral vibes.
All right, we're going to cut it there.
I would say any new thoughts about Home Alone, but we've seen this movie so many times that there's nothing new that could come out of seeing it again. But always one of our great holiday traditions. I know everybody.
One of our great holiday heists, family fun edition.
I know
style.
as we've said, every family has their like go-to several movies. Another one, this one and Muppet Christmas Carol are usually two of the biggest ones.
Mac Bing, by the way, I'm just now seeing. Wow,
Unit
production manager.
So that's Home Alone. I don't know if like there's any future of this franchise going forward as far as making new versions of it.
One, I mean,
Again, I think this movie, more so than its sequels, is, of course, stood the test of time and will continue to be a holiday classic for many, many years to come. So that about does it for this episode of Overlapping Dialogue. As we said at the beginning, we're actually going to come back. The next episode you'll hear will be a bonus, kind of wrapping up of 2023. We're going to talk about, we're not going to give like a top 10 list exactly, but we are going to give out some awards for some noteworthy films, performances, moments, scenes, all sorts of things to do with the 2023 film year. So look forward to hearing that. We've actually got a lot we're going to try to see here at the end of the year. Of course, goes without saying, we're two public school teachers in Western North Carolina, so we do not have access to a grand many movies that are ending up on best of lists or whatnot. But we're going to do our best to catch some things before the end of the year. Any final thoughts on Home Alone or previewing that?
No, just that obviously it's a shame there's certain stuff we won't get to, but it's that way every year. But yeah, we wanted to give it a little bit of time before the end of the year to make sure that we got those things done. So
the next episode you hear, again, or seek out, will ideally be that. So maybe at the end of this year, maybe at the beginning of next year, we're just going to have to play it by ear. But this is Kyle.
This is Levi.
And from Overlapping Dialogue, we both wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Take care. God bless.
Thank you very much. So nice. Goodbye.